royals own me. Harry owes me. Meghan owes me. Hide out, and because the hotel would have been found out, I would have been found, and the press would have been everywhere. Watching whatever differences or problems we have, that we should be able to work them out. We're family. So
picture this. Your daughter, your pride, your joy, is getting married. It's the biggest day of her life. But you're not invited. No text, no call, not even a quick sorry, Dad. Nothing, just silence. Now imagine that wedding isn't some private backyard ceremony. It's the royal wedding. Millions of people watching, cameras flashing, headlines exploding across the globe.
Imagine this. You're Meghan Markle, waking up in your Montecito mansion, birds chirping, sun...
And you're sitting at home, invisible, like you never even existed. That's exactly what happened to Thomas Markle. Every day he'd walk to his mailbox, hoping, praying for that one special envelope. The royal seal, the golden trim, the dream of every father, walking his daughter down the aisle. He could picture it so clearly. Her in the gown, him in his suit, both glowing with pride. That's the moment he'd been waiting for since the day she was born. But then, that invitation never came. Not once. What he got instead? A strange comment over the phone. Oh, it must have gotten lost in the mail. Really? Lost?
It always begins the same way, with whispers. For years, Meghan Markle's name floated in quiet corners of...
As if the royal post just forgot to deliver it? That was the moment Thomas knew something was off. Because to him, this wasn't some mix-up. It wasn't an accident. He truly believes his daughter, Meghan, and her mother, Doria, had already made their decision. They didn't just leave him out, they erased him. And that's where this fairy tale starts to crack. What Thomas says next will make you question everything you thought you knew about that royal wedding. Before we get deep into this, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because this story, it's not just drama, it's revelation. And trust me, once you hear what Thomas has to say, you'll never look at Meghan Markle the same way again. See, long before palaces and tiaras, before anyone ever called her Duchess, Meghan had already lived many lives.
Meghan Markle's dishwashing liquid lie has finally been
And Thomas saw every version. He says Meghan was a master at reinventing herself, not just her style or her hair color, but her whole identity. He watched her change who she was depending on what the world wanted her to be. During all those school years, her teachers, they never met her mother, not at parent-teacher meetings, not at school plays, not even at graduation ceremonies. It was always Thomas, the one filling out forms, attending every event, cheering her on from the crowd. So when Doria finally showed up at Meghan's high school graduation, people were stunned. You could feel the shock ripple through the crowd. Teachers whispered, friends exchanged glances. Nobody could believe it, because not one single person in that school knew Meghan's mom was black. Think about that. Years and years of classes, birthdays, best friends, teachers, and not a soul knew half her heritage.
For those of my parsnips who didn't know, apparently there was a...
That doesn't just happen. That's crafted. That's intentional. All that time, Meghan let everyone assume she was Italian. She'd drop little hints, mention Malta in conversation, lean into her olive skin and dark hair, play up that exotic European vibe. She never corrected anyone, never said, actually, my mom's African American. She just let people fill in the blanks.
Now, with Thomas Markle hinting that she shaved off several years, it's all starting to make sense.
You're doing great.
And everyone did. At graduation, when Doria appeared, people literally whispered, wait, that's her mom? The confusion was written all over their faces. Nobody dared to say it out loud, but they didn't need to. It was right there. The truth Meghan had quietly tucked away. And yet, years later, there she was, standing on the world stage, celebrated as the mixed-race duchess who broke barriers and brought diversity into the monarchy, the first of her kind, a symbol of progress. Beautiful story, right? The fairy tale of inclusion.
Comes out of this woman's mouth is just garbage.
Fans have been connecting dots like they're running a true crime podcast.
The modern princess rewriting royal history. But here's the kicker. This was the same woman who spent her childhood pretending that part of her didn't even exist. So what changed? Was this growth? Maybe. People evolve. They discover themselves. But Thomas doesn't see it that way. To him, it wasn't about self-acceptance. It was strategy, a skill Meghan had mastered from a young age. The art of becoming whoever the world needed her to be at any given moment.
I have no problem facing her in court and disputing what she has to say.
Career defined.
He doesn't think she woke up one morning and said, I'll manipulate everyone. He thinks she just learned early how to adapt. She could read a room like a script. She could sense what people wanted and then become it. Hollywood, they wanted mystery, versatility, a woman who could fit any role, so she became racially ambiguous. The royals, they wanted modernity, progress, a fresh image. So she became the symbol of diversity. And Thomas, her father,
Disrespected Queen Elizabeth from the get-go. She mocked the Queen. She came into the royal family and thought she owned the place.
was left watching this like someone staring at a tower made entirely of mirrors. Every reflection looked perfect. Every angle seemed flawless. But mirrors only show what you want people to see. You never get to see what's holding them up. Thomas remembers the little girl he raised. Curious, determined, yes, but not manipulative. She just couldn't stand being ordinary. She wanted to be special, to be seen, and who doesn't want that? And
The title, she branded it. There's Duchess of Sussex merch. Her full name is...
we all crave attention, admiration, but somewhere between childhood dreams and royal gates, Meghan learned that truth, her real, messy, complicated truth, would weigh her down. It wasn't photogenic. So she set it aside, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but a polished image the world would adore. And that's when her double life began. Not a life of secrets in the usual sense, but one where what you show and what's real are two completely different things. One version for the cameras, another for the people who actually knew her.
Prince Harry will not make Meghan Markle a billionaire. She wants to be a billionaire, so who will? A new man. At some point, if it's offered up.
And then, there's Doria. Thomas says if there's one name people should pay closer attention to, it's Doria Ragland. He insists this isn't about attacking anyone. It's about details that don't line up. Because the truth, Doria wasn't around much when Meghan was growing up. Those school years where Thomas was the parent everyone saw, that wasn't because Doria was busy working 3 jobs. She was simply gone. She reappeared suddenly in the mid-90s, out of nowhere.
Thomas Markle just broke his silence, revealing shocking secrets about Meghan that nobody saw coming.
But when she came back, she was living in public housing for years, until she was evicted in 1997. Now let's be real. Life hits people hard sometimes. Struggles happen. But what happened next made Thomas's skin crawl. Right after that eviction, Doria's father, Meghan's grandfather, died. Police called it an accident. They said he tripped while walking his dogs, but Thomas can't shake the details. Because Doria, she was the only witness. And the injuries? They didn't match a simple fall. He fell on grass. Yet he had injuries far too severe. Thomas can't let that go. Something about it doesn't sit right, and it gets creepier. Doria kept the dog leashes, the very ones supposedly involved in the accident. Who does that? Most people would want to get rid of that reminder forever, but she held on to them like keepsakes. Thomas won't say outright what he suspects, but his fear shows in every word. He once said, Doria's capable of very nasty things. Imagine hearing that from a father. Not about a stranger, but about the mother of his child. And then he said something that sends chills down your spine. I know they want me gone. Not like some conspiracy theory nonsense, but real, trembling fear. Thomas isn't chasing headlines. He's a man haunted by the feeling that there's something deeply wrong with the story the world's been told. Because the Doria we see now, peaceful yoga teacher, calm, wise grandmother, that soothing woman sitting gracefully at royal events. But Thomas swears that's a performance, a role, perfectly played. Well, let's just say Doria's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. One minute she's living in public housing, barely visible. The next she's floating into royal events, elegant, glowing, composed, like she'd been preparing for that role her whole life. Thomas watched it happen and he couldn't believe how smooth it all seemed. The same woman who'd been missing for most of Meghan's childhood was suddenly the picture-perfect mother, spiritual, supportive, polished for the cameras. It was like someone had rewritten her entire past, edited out the rough parts, and uploaded a brand new version, one that fit neatly beside a duchess. But here's where the story gets even darker. Before the royal wedding, there was another wedding, one Meghan never mentioned. Not to her family, not to the press, not to anyone. On August 16, 2011, in a quiet Los Angeles courthouse, Meghan Markle legally married Trevor Engelson. No beach, no sunset, no vows on Jamaican sand, just paperwork, a signature, a secret. The Jamaican ceremony that everyone thought was her real wedding, it was symbolic. For show. The real marriage, the one that counted, happened months earlier, away from cameras, family, and attention. Sound familiar? One private truth, one public performance. When Thomas discovered this, it broke him. Because it confirmed what he'd started to fear, that Meghan's life had 2 versions, the one the world saw and the one she actually lived. Even her name changed with each chapter. When she married Trevor, she became Rachel Meghan Markle Engelson. By the time she married Harry, that name had vanished. Gone. Did she legally change it back? Did the palace know? Thomas wonders to this day, because to him that's the proof. She could reinvent herself completely and no one would question it. She'd done it before. She'd built an entire life out of curated truth, and with the royal wedding, she did it again. only this time it was global. Publicly, the story was about love conquering all. Privately, it was about erasure. Doria's reinvention, public version. Devoted mother, perfect support system. Private version, someone who reappeared right when the cameras turned on. The invitation, public version, lost in the mail. Private version, deliberately withheld. The paparazzi scandal, public version, embarrassing dad selling photos. Private version, a setup, it's a pattern. Every major moment in Meghan's life, Thomas says, has two realities, one for show, one for truth. And every time, someone gets left behind. Now, years later, Thomas sits oceans away, wondering if anyone will ever see what he sees. He says he's holding secrets, ones too dangerous to reveal while he's alive, things that could shatter the royal image completely. He's hinted at them carefully, almost trembling. He said, "There are things I know that can't come out yet." And that alone, the fear in his voice, tells you enough. Because what kind of truth could be so heavy that a father refuses to say it aloud? He's not bitter, he's broken. A man erased from his daughter's life to make her story prettier. He watches from afar, wondering if the truth will ever matter more than the fairy tale. Because fairy tales, the shiny ones, always cast the longest shadows. And it's in those shadows that the real stories live. The messy, uncomfortable ones, the ones no camera crew wants to film. Maybe one day, those shadows will shrink. Maybe the secrets he's kept will surface. Or maybe the illusion is too perfect to destroy. Either way, Thomas Markle knows one thing. The most dangerous lies are the ones wrapped in truth. The ones that use real memories, real pain, but rearrange them just enough to look beautiful. They're not exactly lies, they're just prettier versions of the truth. And if a father had to disappear for that version to exist, well, that's the price of a perfect story. So what do you think? Was Thomas Markle erased on purpose? Or is he just a heartbroken dad who can't move on? Drop your thoughts below. And if this story changed how you see the royal wedding, share it, because the truth, it always finds a way to surface.